What's going on, everybody? So this is going to be a video on how I set up the usage of Fibonacci for the week, for the day, for the algos, for the interesting points, wherever we need to put them, why we're putting them there. So every trade plan should start at the longest standing time frame, okay? Weekly for me, and then go to the daily, then go to the 1530s and anchors, then all the way down to intraday, right? Most importantly, obviously, the longest standing time frame is going to give you the largest amount of historic support resistance, right? And strongest versions. So we're starting here on the weekly. So how these are very, very basic things. We're going to start at the weekly, right? And depending on what the candle looks like for how big it is, how ranged the body is, so on and so forth, they will all be used in a certain way. And I want to stress this a lot at the start of the video. It's not if the Fibonacci you pick is going to work, it's when. So when people are trying to overdraw a bunch of different Fibonaccis and just use, realize that if you draw one and wait for that one to hit, sometimes it's days, sometimes it's hours, sometimes it's minute. It will work out if drawn correctly. Just stick to the ones you're used to. If you're really good at drawing them from the 5-minute, 30, 15, hourly, daily, weekly, mixing all of them like I do and stacking those, stick with that. Just trust me on it will work out if drawn correctly. It doesn't have to work out every single day, every single second, every single minute. Sometimes I take a couple days and we play the in between. Okay. So we'll start on SPY here on the weekly chart, right? And this is how I'd set this up. We have an all-time high candle. Well, obviously the algorithms know this is the all-time high candle. So the high lows, closes, opens are going to be the most important here. So I generally love to see dojis too. Let go. There we go. We'll do the Fibonacci high-low here. I'm going to edit this to make it my weekly color. So I'm going to set all the trends or all the levels on teal. Teal is my weekly color of choice. So I know which ones are weekly, which ones are daily, so on and so forth. Now, what's inside the weekly? Now, this is what I mean. If I built one plan off the weekly, this will work when it works. If I go to the 5-day, 5-minute chart, I'm going to use these weekly levels as my points of interest, right? So just like all Fibonacci works, if we break inside the range of a Fibonacci, see how we couldn't get out of the 100 fib right here of the weekly. So we needed to come all the way down to golden pocket, bounce, because nothing goes in a straight line, back all the way down to the higher low. And look at these corresponding levels. These are working out perfectly. This is the golden pocket range above and below the weekly. So if you were to literally draw a Monday fresh start candle, do the weekly, and don't touch anything until a weekly Fibonacci is hit, either long or short, with intraday confirmation, that will work out perfectly fine, right? So if this is our week start, and this is not a starting week, remember, this is an all-time high candle. This is a couple weeks back, and this is the most important candle. Why? Well, because price action is trapped inside of it, right? Why in the world am I going to draw anywhere else where we have an entire week starting, or an entire week start and close done, and then this week starting and still trapped in here? We're not going to use anything else, right? And then from here, I can go to the intraday and you literally just use these levels, okay? And I'm gonna teach you something about hidden fibs and intraday fibs if you are scalping off the 1 and 5 minute. So now we have weekly level set, 100, 78, 61, 50, so on and so forth. The most important ones here are when the weekly retraces, right? So if we go back here on like a 30-30, because I don't have anything more that goes back to a 5-day, we can see where this week starts. This is the high low of the week. This is the week that is open to close, and this is the week done. Now notice that on this weekly chart, we have only came down as low as the 70% or 2360 fib, right? This is not a golden pocket. This is the golden pocket right here above or below the 50 by 1, okay? So that is the golden pocket. The 2360 that's down here was only tagged. We have never retraced here to the target, but we had retraced to the 100 fib. Now remember what I say always about first algorithm tags, okay? So if this week is set, this is the week right here, right? All that. And then we come into the next week, right? Start here because today's obviously Wednesday. This was Tuesday. This was Monday. And this was Friday. And last week we had hit the top panel of this, right? So the first tag, so here's the box. First tag is here. And where did that hit? Top of the 100. It did not break and go. So what is it going to do? It's going to retrace back to golden pockets, and then it's going to make a decision. Okay. And we've already done this. This is the high low of the week. This does not count. This is not first tag. This is part of the weekly candle. Okay. This is first tag. Okay. Remember, this is Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Friday, Thursday, get a day of the week. So that Thursday hit, Wednesday, Thursday hit is the focus of the 100% fib. Okay. Now, first tag caused a reaction down to the golden pocket. My eyesight's going bad. 3820 held. What did it do? Popped all the way back up, but we are still in what? Lower high territory, right? Still in lower high territory. How do I utilize this intraday? How do I make these weeklies awesome? Okay, because once a weekly tag doesn't happen every single day, right? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it's not gonna. So I'm going to use intraday fibs. I'm going to teach you a hidden fib system in between the fibs, which I've developed myself. Nobody else will teach you this, but 51832 is that top. And now in between the 100 fib and 7860 or the golden pocket fibs, we can put another fib. Okay, high or low. Watch this. So we have the top of the weekly fib to the 7860. I'm going to take this Fibonacci and I'm going to fib again inside level to level, and I'm going to use this for intraday. Okay, so when I know something hit a pinnacle crazy movement like the 100 fib, I know it's going to go back down, or at least has a very good opportunity not to be acted by outside forces, so on and so forth. Okay, unless there's a world news catalyst event, some kind of CPI, you have to be obviously aware of the number one psychological catalyst of the day. Look at this hidden fib. Okay, so we fibbed it out. Look where it goes. Here's the box. Once we leave the box underneath the 100, where do we go? 1618, 2618. Here's your 1618. Here's your 2618. Where did it bounce? A little bit after 2618. But reputable enough to the short side, once it broke outside of the box here, we knew that it could travel down. But what are the levels we would use? Well, obviously the weekly fibs, right? We have 61.8 here, 50 here, 38.20 here, right? So if the fibs of our hidden fib aren't perfectly intradaying correctly, we're going to look at the weekly. So we had a really good 2618, and these are going to be magnetable targets. If we stay under the 1618, because this is going to help us identify trend, we know we're going to come to the 2618 for a high probability chance, right? So we could have used the intraday fib or hidden fib in between to utilize that momentum. Now, when something gets recovered, now remember, it never went further past the golden pocket. This is the biggest golden pocket support. It travels back to the upside. So let's slowly move this over. This hidden fib system is going to tell you all the way back. So if we hold the 2618, remember that hidden fib is way back there. Once we start holding the 2618, that is a reversal of trend on fibs. We are no longer coming away from the 2618 looking for the 423.6 or lower on the weekly. We held it, right? We load, we higher load. So the hidden fib system is going to go 2618. We're going to go, okay, this is our over under. If we start holding that as support, where do we go? Back to the 1618. Boom. And then after that, back to the box, 100. Boom. We had that yesterday, right? So now we're sitting in the same dilemma over under the weekly fib here. We're holding that right now. And generally coming back to the 100 fib here, we can go back to the golden pocket of that. So we could go as high as 517.19, 516.53. This is the golden pocket, right, of the hidden fib. Make sense? That is one way to use them. Okay, let's dive into the next. I want you guys to exercise these systems over and over again and look what works best for you. Starting back over, longest term fib, weekly, right? Again, trapped in. What would be next? Obviously, the next fastest time frame is going to be the daily, right? So to the daily chart, I'm going to go look for a premium candle, something that the algorithms look at. High range, all-time high, something that touches a 10 SMA, something that's got a perfect doji, a unique candle, okay? A candle that has a gap associated with it is much stronger than a regular trend candle like this, okay? So if there's one candle here, just a regular old da-da-da candle, no big deal, not using. But if there is a doji, right, and this is a gap down, this is one that held the gap down, this is an interesting candle too. So I would start picking my candles going, okay, well, if the candles have to be something interesting, it has to be algorithmic quality, it has to be associated with a gap, it has to be very large, so a high range candle, or a candle that hits a very major moving average, like a 10 or a 50 or so on and so forth. Here we have the 10 SMA being a counteraction point, and then trend helps as well. So let's pick a daily candle inside the weekly, right? Because the weekly time frame on the Fibonacci is going to matter, and that could be a key point. So let's pick a candle that has to do with the golden pocket, and or the 10 SMA, and or trend, and or gaps. And there's only about one of those because there's a gap here, that was filled yesterday. This is a double gap. So this candle sticks out to me, one, being a doji. Two, it's in the golden pocket of the weekly. And three, support, right? So it's holding triple bottom support, one support, two support, three support. So we know that the golden pocket, of course, it uses the weekly, is great. This also touched the 50 and 38.20, both, okay? So what am I going to do with that? I'm going to fib it out. And I'm going to change it white because that is my daily level. So now I have a set of fibs for a daily and a weekly. Now let's go to intraday and see if we have any overlapping interesting points. Okay. So now again, when I stress this in the start of the video, it's not if a fib is going to work, it is when it is going to work. If you draw one fib and you do not touch anything until it starts to really go, I have to jump to this real quick. 1 second. I have orders and a bunch of stuff on here right now, and the Q's is making a little bit of a move. So I want to pay attention here real quick. Sorry. All these open trades are sitting here left. But
order filled.
Okay. Well, there it goes right there. Perfect. We're going to get a couple more of those. Might be there. You'll hear it. Long story short, not if, when a fib is going to hit. So let's go back. The daily chart now. I made it for a daily. I took a unique daily candle. Now let's look at what we can decipher between the two and if we get overlapping Fibonacci's. Weekly on top of daily, right? And that is going to give us what? Extra confirmation, right? Duh. So let's check this out right here. 100 fib. Here's our box, right? And if we're outside, we know where to go. Here's the weekly golden pocket. So we have a weekly right here, 38.20, right there. Where does that line up with? Let's zoom in here a little bit on the daily. Oh man, 38.20 golden pocket lines up with a 50 pretty much dead on to the daily. So I know this pocket in between the two fibs of the 38.20 and the 50 is massively strong. Massively strong. So 509.90 to like 510.10, 10 points on ES right there on the SPY. So this is a really big over under, and that's what I would pick for the day. If we are over this level or under this level, we are going to have a massive move. So let's see what the daily tells us. Okay, back to the box. We know the 50s are right here. So if price action is above 510, we have an opportunity to go to the upside. Now, where would our targets be? How do we get targets? Well, the extensions, of course, outside the box, right? Here, boom, box center, 50 fib, outside break of the box. So where do we go? 1618 first. Holy cow, look at that. Abrupt reaction. And you can play counter trend on these. So again, there's your daily working with your weekly. Okay. Support broke out of the box, ran all the way to the 1618, pulled back. But what did it hold? The weekly. Oh, we're using both fibs together, right? And then what else? Well, it pushed up a little bit more to what? The weekly to the penny. Okay. And then once that fib was reset, the 1618 becomes the over under. So let's move on to the next day, right? Same fibs are all going to apply here. There's the golden pocket being held again by the daily, re-breaks back out of the 100, slams to the 50, slams to the 1618. It has more momentum, right? And again, if you're only touching price action when the fibs are hit, you're really giving yourself an opportunity here to do the right thing, to really cut it down smooth. So we have 1618 as support on the daily, 78.60 on the weekly coming into the trade day today. Well, we held the weekly, all support here today. So until it breaks and is trending under 515.43, I would utilize that for a back test of something we didn't come back and back test like the 10 SMA, right? 10 SMA wasn't back tested to the backside here. And that's kind of where our short would be had today if we can get that awesome move to the downside into FOMC. So that leads us to what? The next big piece of the puzzle, right? Where is the couple targets? Well, if we go under the 78.60, your confirmation would play out back down to the 1618, 10 SMA. And again, we're going to be stacking catalysts here. So you'd be looking for the 6665 minute to catch up because we did not come back and back test that yet. We have an opportunity to come back and back test VWAPs. We have back test yesterday's volume profile. There are so many catalysts telling us, hey, we're kind of exhausted to the upside here, and we have a trouble setting these new highs in the weekly, so on and so forth, blah, 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 blah. And we're having some panic here, okay? And that bouncing ball short we were talking about in the Qs and coming all the way down is all playing out. And if we lose the 200, we can go to the 666. We just have a mess of stacked catalysts, right? But again, just the daily has given us that opportunity because what? Once we lose, right? Where'd my drawing tool go? That 1618, this is what's going to happen. The continuation back to the 100 in the golden pocket for hopefully the psychological FOMC, what we're looking for, happens here at the 10 SMA. So the prediction for the rest of the FOMC even today would be volatile nastiness, break all the way back down to the 100 fib, 51110, and then into that golden pocket of the daily for a retest of the golden pocket, right? So back out a little bit here, look at the daily. Was the daily's golden pocket live trading ever hit? No, so that's going to be our target. So if we fail the 1618, where do we go? 100 fib on the daily, golden pocket. What's our target? 510. Ending the week with bad FOMC is going to be 510. Does that make sense? Because the Fibonacci needs to magnet and reset those levels. If we go all the way up to 2618, bump our head there, and then short, that is a primo entry. But if you are not touching your button, you're not trading until these levels are hit, that is guaranteeing you very, very, very good risk management. Okay, right? So right here, this is how you would trade this. You would wait for this weekly 7860 to finally break because it held support, You could scalp those intraday with the view app. Breaks, holds under, boom, hits 1618, chops, snaps it, back test 1618. Every one of those back testing confirmational is a short, right? Because that's our sentiment, right? Hold on, we're close here again. Yeah, we're still rocking this short right now.
Order filled.
Sorry, we're up fat right now. We got like 17 grand on the line. Got a little head and shoulder break here. We're just riding these contracts down. I just want to
order filled.
Clip out of my pit. There we go. That's 17,200 and something for the day. So as we go for these fibs, now let's talk about the last and at least the intraday Fibonacci's. Okay, so if I have a weekly and I got a daily and I'm rocking it and we're having the greatest time ever, for these, where's our target intraday, right? So back to the Qs, the same way it's used. Now, all of these Fibonacci's can be used in these sequences in this way, but that's how I set up. And the confirmation of the backtest, if something breaks a fib level and backtest it, that's it. You got to watch for that. It's not just a free money schemey, okay? So on the Qs, on the 5-minute that we had today was the algo. If you check our last video on the recap, I'll link the video in the description. And you can see where all this price action stuff is coming from. I fibbed it to the downside, and once we break out of the 100 fib. Now, again, overlapping fibs is super important. I have a daily fib and an intraday fib. I'm using both, right? 100 fib, okay? Right there. This is Q's 100 fib. Remember, here's the pocket box. Look where the 50 fib is. Here's the golden pocket, right? Where's the 50 fib? Oh, directly in line. 439. That was our huge over under 2 days ago for trading as well, right? That's insane, right? So we have a double overlap, which means what? This is the biggest over under level we have today on the Qs, which would be the 100. And that is dead center of this fib and the 100 fib here. What does that mean? Well, we have an opportunity to stay under. Do we have any confirmations above this level right here on a double fib? No. This golden pocket has been defended, not cleanly, but resistance 1, resistance 2, resistance 3, all lower highs with a big old base. And as we talked about before, this is more of a bouncing ball short. You drop a ball from a certain height, it only comes up so high until it sits on the floor and then potentially breaks, right? So, right there, that is how we stack and use the fibs. Now, this happens intraday, stacks with daily, stacks with weekly. And if you draw these Fibonacci points, do not touch any buttons until those fibs hit. Be extra patient. Don't play the in-between. You will do very well, right? So like, look at the daily chart here on the Qs that we have. I have one all-time high candle. I utilize the body of this one. Why? Because we have a larger body. If we do not have a body on the Fibonacci on the daily, weekly, and it's a doji, it's a short body, I will use high-low. Obviously, we can't use a doji body for a fib if it's this big. It's not going to work out. So I use the body of the all-time high. And now look what this told us on Qs. Again, box. This is a premium candle because it's all-time highs. It's not if the Fibonacci, it's when. So don't confuse yourself with drawing, I got to get the absolute perfect. No, all of these will actually work if you wait till the level is hit. You could use this daily. You could use this daily. You could use every single prior day's high-low. And it would work out if you waited till the level hit. Don't get too excited. I use multiple because I like to overlap them. Practice that. Now, coming back into this last little piece of information here, the Qs comes back down, breaks, here you go, golden pocket, defends the 100 fib. Look at the closes here. Closes above, closes above, closes above. Finally gap down, right? But where's the gap? Right into the 1618. And what happens after the 1618? Generally speaking, we travel back towards the 100. If we fail that 100, we go back down to the 2618. Right now it's in decision-making mode. You're right. So the FOMC is going to be the catalyst to hopefully break us back to the downside and stay under 439. This is why this whole week, 439 has been a huge over-under for us on Qs because of this daily Fibonacci. Now, we've already, again, snapped the 1618, and we higher load. That's why we're coming back up. We're in a little bit of a coil because we're still lower high. All right, so we create a little bit of a coil of higher lows and lower highs, blah, 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 all the good stuff. And then if we get the confirmation under the 100, we're going to end up somewhere down by the 2618, and I still think we're going to backtest that 50 SMA daily on Qs. and have that opportunity. If the FOMC goes sideways and I don't get that and it comes all the way back up, it will hold 439. It will go back to the golden pocket and all the way to the top range. It will shoot all the way up to 446. So if you're above the golden pocket, you just switch biased and you go long from 441.60s, 442.40s right here, which is the golden pocket, and you will complete the Fibonacci's first tag of the body on the daily, right? Because we don't have a tag. Fibonacci is created here, never made it to the 0 fib, only made it to the golden pocket, failed, down to the 1618. Now we're inside the pocket again. So generally speaking, if we hold inside the 100, it goes golden pocket, trash, right back up to the 0 fib, and that would be its first tag. And I would short it up there for an intraday move and hopefully come back down, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Comment below if you got some questions. If you want to support the channel and the team or trade with us, all the links are in the description. I trade with Apex Trading Fund. There is a code down there, TG33, to get you a big discount of whatever they're running. It will support the channel. I'll love you forever. Shoot me a DM on Twitter if you use my code, because I do love to give out free question answering. So hit me up on X. The link is in the bottom, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Use the codes if you like. If you want to trade with us, the trading's in the description. We go live every single morning, 8 a.m., do the pre-market analysis, trade through the first couple hours of the morning. So I hope this was valuable to you guys, and I'll catch you guys soon.